Greetings! I am Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome! Today we're going to talk about 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons again, and today I'm going to get in talking about ability scores and using them, and a little bit more in depth about the various things that you're going to be using them in your Dungeons & Dragons game. But let's start at the beginning. Ability score modifiers. I think I've talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to go over it again. To figure out what your modifier for is an ability score, take whatever number you have in that ability score, subtract 10 from it. Now if this is a positive number, divide it by 2, round down, and that's your bonus. So if you have an 11, that's subtract 10 is a 1, divided by 2 is a 0.5, rounded down is 0. Well, if you have a 12, it's plus 1, 13 is plus 1, so on and so forth. Now if it's a negative, when you divide by 2, you round down. So if I have a 9, I'd have negative 1, divided by 2 is 0.5, rounding down, or rounding up or down, it's negative 1. So basically 9 is negative 1, 8 is negative 1, 7 is negative 2, all the way down. If you had a 1, you'd have negative 5. So now that we have our ability scores, let's talk about advantage and disadvantage. What are these? These are something I have sort of mentioned before. What it is when I roll a d20, if I have advantage, I roll it twice, take the higher number. If I have disadvantage, I roll it twice, take the lower number. Now when do I get these? Spells, certain abilities, and circumstances on what you want to do in the world will grant these. Now the spells and abilities, those are defined by your character. The circumstances are given by your DM, your dungeon master, when something occurs in the world that he or she thinks that would give either advantage or disadvantage. So if you want to do something a little different with your character, they might say, okay, you can roll it, but you have disadvantage. Or, oh, that's really cool, you can roll that, you've gained advantage for this great idea. Now, if we're talking about ability scores and using them, we have to mention proficiencies. Proficiencies are very important. Proficiencies are the same for all characters of the same level. So whatever level you are, you can figure out your proficiency very easily. It levels up with people all at the same level, all at the same rate. But what they are added to differs. Proficiency is a numerical bonus that goes to certain types of d20 rolls. It will tell you if it's a certain skill, if it's a certain save, if it's a certain type of weapon use, if it's using a spell. It's all based on your character, your background, your race. They will tell you if you have any proficiencies and where you would add this bonus number into when making your d20 roll. Now the difficulty of these can range from anywhere from 5 to 30, where 5 is supposed to be the easiest, 30 is supposed to be the most difficult. Your dungeon master will tell you what the difficulty of whatever you're rolling is. Sometimes he actually won't mention it, sometimes he will. It will depend on what you're doing. If you're going against something and I'm trying to hit an enemy and the AC is the difficulty I'm trying to hit, he's not going to tell me. I make a save, he's going to tell me if I made it or not. He might not tell me the difficulty that I need to reach. It is up to your dungeon master whether he tells you or not the difficulty, but it is something he will choose and know about. Now you can have a contest. What's a contest? A contest would be me and another creature rolling the same check against each other. It could be some kind of strength-based check if we're arm wrestling, or it could be a test where we're both running through the same obstacle course, and it would be a dexterity-based check. That's the sort of thing that would be a contest that we both roll, and whoever gets better would be the victor. Now let's talk about skills. I haven't brought in a lot about skills. I've mentioned who gets them, who gets what kind of skills, but for skills, each skill is assigned to a certain ability score. That modifier is what you roll for that skill. Now you can roll any skill you want, but if I'm rolling a skill and I have proficiency in it, I also add my proficiency bonus. So for a skill, I would roll the appropriate ability modifier and possibly the appropriate proficiency bonus, and sometimes miscellaneous bonuses that you might add to that skill also. Now you can have passive ability checks, or passive skill checks as they're called. What are these? It's 10 plus your modifier to whatever skill or ability that it is, and that tells your DM, your dungeon master, what number you're getting just by walking along. Traditionally these are for perception checks or for more like knowledge-based skills like arcane, that when you're just walking around and I should see something, how much I would know, or what do I see? That's the sort of thing. It's my passive perception would be, I'm looking over it's like I'm not trying to look around, I'm walking along, maybe I notice something because of my passive perception. I don't have to roll. It's sort of my general awareness of the world. Or the basic Arcana check. If I have a passive Arcana, it would be like, oh, you know, I recognize something as magical just by sort of glancing towards it without having to think about it a lot. You know, it's like, oh, hey, wait a second. That's what passive skills are used for. Now, there is also checks where you work together. They have rules for it, but you have to know that you can work together with someone else as long as you both have as long as the person that's helping you out has proficiency in it, you can generally help them out at that. Otherwise, they can't really help you out because they don't know about it to give you a bonus. Now, there can also be group skill checks. Group skill checks means everyone in the group makes the check, and at least half of them have to succeed at it for the group to succeed at it. This could be something like trying to be stealthy through a swamp, through an area, as a group, or trying to survive in an area. Something like that, where the group working together is trying to do something at the same time. Now, going into the book, it talks about all 6 ability scores and what skills they apply to, any sort of rules based on those skills, anything else that those ability scores affect. And it will tell you whether it's based on your modifier, whether it's based on your raw score. For example, they'll mention how much you can carry for having a high strength, or what kind of bonus hit points you'd have for having a high constitution. These are things that are mentioned under these ability scores when it's talking about them, and it goes through it in lists that you can look at. I can look at this ability score and see what it affects in my character. This can also help you that if you know about these when you're originally choosing your ability scores to know what kind of things they affect. The last thing I want to talk about today is saves. Now, saves is you have all 6 ability score, you have a saving throw related to that. A saving throw is a check that you make against some sort of threat in order to avoid it. Now, your dungeon master will know the DC. He's probably not going to tell you the DC, but he's going to ask you to make a save. Now, depending on your class usually, and some other things, you might have proficiency in some of these saves. It might be just your ability score modifier you're adding to it. There can also be circumstantial bonuses. Certain times, certain abilities you have, certain circumstances of the world might give you a bonus. There are also certain times where you might get advantage or disadvantage to a save, depending on the situation. If I'm lying on the ground, maybe I can't get out of the way of something that's coming at me that I need a dex save for. But perhaps if there's a rock nearby, maybe I can quickly sort of roll out of the way, or I have some kind of defense that I might have advantage to that I could quickly duck and move enough to get out of the way. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I've gone over the uses of ability scores, linking it to skills, just general ability checks, and saves. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It does show your support. Another way of supporting us is to join, to become a citizen of the Empire, to become a member. Just subscribe. If you know anybody that would be interested in this, could learn something in this, please share this video. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.